And here's my twist on the QOTP, because you know I have to do my own version. It is simply everything you can imagine is real, but imagination without action is still just imagination. Hey, Queens. Yeah, you know who you are. God, come on. Go ahead and put that crown on your head. Now tilt a little to the left. Now a little to the right. Perfect. Now let's get to work. Because we know you got big goals. And you got big dreams and not afraid to let them know. Why? Because you step into your purpose. You speak out on your faith. And you shift up in your journey. Because you a boss. Welcome to the podcast, Drop the Expiring Act with your host, Veli of QueenBayGoals.com. Reminding you that you are a queen before anything else. It's your life and your goals. Make it royal. All right, y'all. Go ahead and work that crown. Hello, and welcome to episode 6 of the Drop the Aspiring Act podcast from season 1. Woohoo! So, we are continuing with our Act Like, Think Like series, and this week's topic is Act Like a CEO, Think Like a Creative. So, if you don't know, this is your host, Veli, and we're going to just jump into it. So, if you're asking yourself, but wait a minute, didn't you just say act like an asset, think like an entrepreneur in episode number 3? Well, yes, we did. But here's the thing, that a CEO is not necessarily an entrepreneur, right? And an entrepreneur is not necessarily a CEO. An entrepreneur and a CEO are most likely two different things in most cases. An entrepreneur is somebody who usually builds up a business from the ground up, and CEOs are usually appointed to run an existing company. So unless you're like a founder CEO, like Mark Zuckerberg, who runs Facebook because he founded it and he's still the CEO, there are founder CEOs, but in most cases, entrepreneurs and CEOs are not the same thing. And then the second thing that I want to remind you, because you were supposed to be paying attention in episode 3, right? We were talking about the entrepreneurial mindset. And that does not necessarily mean that you want to run your own company. So when I say act like a CEO, think like a creative, I'm actually talking about thinking like CEOs, like those people who actually run big companies. So let's go ahead and get into the first part, which is to act like a CEO. And with act like a CEO, I just want you to do 2 things when you are acting like a CEO. If you are ready to drop your aspiring act, right? These are the 2 things that I want you to do. I want you to make quick final decisions, but I also want you to make strategic decisions, because that's what CEOs do. CEOs think about their company, their organization, and they have to make a final decision while thinking about the business, and they also have to make a strategic decision. So the decision that they make is going to make sense for their business. So for example, if you are like, let's say an author, if you're trying to get ready to drop the aspiring act of being an author, when I say make a final decision, like if you're writing your story and you can't decide on the character's name, just cut it out. Just stick with one name. If you don't like the name, you can go back and change it later. But like I said in the previous episode when we talked about act like a writer, think like a reader, just write the book, right? Write the book. And then if you have a problem with the name later, you can go back and change it. But just make a final decision and continue to write. And then if you're thinking about making strategic decisions as an author, for example, let's say it's launching your book, right? Maybe, because we were talking about vampire books in the last episode when we were talking about act like a writer. Maybe you're writing a vampire book. Maybe it's better to bring it out around Halloween time, right? Because that's when all the people come out with the costumes and everybody wants to be doing the whole vampire thing with the teeth and the black and the white, whatever. Maybe that's the best time to bring out the book, or whatever your agent tells you is the best time to bring out your book. Make strategic decisions when you are dropping your aspiring act and you're starting to make decisions on the things that you are ready to become. Okay? So let's get into think like a creative, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, this episode is about to be short because she just got straight into the point. But y'all know, Veli, I am a PM. I used to be a project manager for so long that I just have stuff planned out, like it's planned out in my head. and it's just the way that it's gonna go. So I just make it smooth, right? So think like a creative. I'm saying to think outside of the box and use your imagination. So when you are thinking like a creative when it comes to writing, I just want you to go out there and write whatever, right? It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be real. Look at Avatar, right? Are there real blue people? Well, there might be real blue people that we just don't know about. But are there really blue people, do you think, on this planet? Right? Think about like most of the Disney movies, like who came up with those things, because a lot of them aren't. I love. This is what I was watching today. I was watching The Little Mermaid earlier today with my kids. And I know somebody else wrote the book The Little Mermaid like years before they became a movie, but who thought up the concept of a half fish, half man? Who thought that up? That had to be some really creative thinking, like to think that there were actually mermaids or mer people. I know some people probably believe that they are real. I don't know if I believe that they are real or not, but that was very creative thinking. That was way outside of the box, right? So when you are dropping your aspiring acting, whatever it is that you're doing, I want you to think outside of the box, and I want you to use your imagination, because your imagination is going to take you very far, and it's going to be something that somebody else hasn't thought of yet, that it's just waiting in your mind, sitting for you, waiting for you to pull it out. So be a creative thinker. Think outside the box and start using your imagination. And imagination is taking me straight into our quote of the podcast, our QOTP for this week, which is, everything you can imagine is real, by Pablo Picasso. That's what he said. Everything you can imagine is real. And here's my twist on the QOTP, because you know I have to do my own version. It is simply, everything you can imagine is real, but imagination without action is still just imagination. So it's not going to happen. Nothing is going to happen until you start doing the work to make whatever is in your imagination real. And that's what I want you to do. I want you guys to stop overthinking it. Stop holding yourself back from the things that are inside of you. Like, just go ahead and drop the aspiring acts already. Like I said in the last episode, if you want to be a singer, go out there and sing. If you want to be a dancer, go out there and dance. Just do whatever it is that's pulling on your heart, right? Go out there and do the thing. If you suck at it, hey, you might just practice and become great, right? And then or else you might decide that that's not really the thing that you want to do. But if you don't do anything about it, you're just going to be sitting here thinking about what if. What if I wrote my book? What if I went out there and produced music? What if I started to run my own company, right? What if I started to write my own blog? What if I created this product that I have been thinking about for forever? What if I just start going out there and doing that, right? I have the greatest idea for a product, and it's just sitting in my head. So that's why I say, adding on to what Picasso said, everything you can imagine is real, but imagination without action is still just imagination. So I'm ready for you to get those things out of your head and get it in front of us, because we are waiting to see whatever it is that you are ready to share with us. So I'm ready for you to drop your aspiring act today and start getting to work. Now, if you have already watched or listened, I keep saying watch, I don't know why. I guess that's just stuck in my head, right? But if you have already listened to the previous episodes, great. Make sure you guys leave a comment. Let me know where you guys are listening. Let me know that you guys are out there. The podcast is available on Google Play, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and most places where they actually pull in podcasts, because I have it set up on Anchor, and Anchor automatically pushes this out to all of these podcast places, right? But if you have not listened to any of the episodes that came before this one, what are you waiting for? Go out there and pull those episodes and start listening, because I am ready for you to drop your aspiring act and start doing the thing that you said you're going to do. And in the series right now, what we're doing is talking about the Act Like, Think Like series, which is talking about the actions that you need to take and the mindsets that you need to start shifting to if you don't have that mindset already, right? So in this one, we're talking about having the creative mindset, thinking outside of the box and going outside of your comfort zone. And in previous episodes, we talk about having an entrepreneurial mindset, And right now, my head is going blank on what the other mindsets that we talked about were. But last week, we actually did book reviews because the end of the month is book reviews. And if you haven't caught that, go back and listen. We talked about the book Successful Women Think Differently by Valerie Burton, which is a really good book. So if you want to be successful in whatever it is that you do, you should start reading books like that. Like books about mindsets and the way that you think. Books that will help you to start coaching yourselves and start putting yourselves down the path of, this is what success looks like for me and this is how I'm going to get it. All right, so I'm going to jump off the soapbox for this week's episode. Next week we are talking about, are we going into that next? Oh yeah, next week we are going into our people episodes where some of them are like act like J.K. Rowling, think like Stephen King, act like Marie Forleo, think like Oprah, and I think the other one was like act like Michael Jordan is who I meant to say. Act like Michael Jordan, think like LeBron James. And like I said in the early episode, when I'm saying act like one person and think like another person, I'm not saying that one person is better than the other. All I'm saying is to take the principles that I'm talking about in that specific Act Like, Think Like series and apply it to yourself, your business, your skills, whatever it is that you want to do. Apply that to you actually taking the action and taking the mindset so that you can drop your aspiring act. I'm not saying that one person is better than the other because in most cases, both people that I'm talking about are really great and have done very great things. So make sure you come back and listen next week to our first people series on the Act Like, Think Like series. And I am out. You have been listening to another episode of Drop the Aspiring Act. If you're looking for more information on this podcast and other episodes, please visit queenbaegoals.com. That's QueenBaeGoals.com. All right, y'all. I'll see you in the next podcast.